hate running. First off, hello, my name is Patrick, and I will be the head honcho of this YouTube channel. I just completed my first ever 5K in under 1 month of training, and I'd like to tell you guys the story about it, a lot of tips and recommendations I have for you to get started running, and hopefully have some fun along the way. We'll see what the hell happens. So, my first goal, just finding a plan, stick to it, and finish it. That was it. So, the plan that I chose to get started with this whole journey was actually Runna. It's a very easy routine where they get you from never running before to running a 5K in 2 months' time. So that's what I did. I had stuck to this plan of 0 to 5K, and I had a plan of I'll do it in 2 months. So I was doing my lifts, I was running twice a week, and I did that for 2.5 weeks. I had run 5 times until I actually got recommended on my Instagram feed a race day for a 5K for the White Sox. There was only one problem with this though. The race day was in under 2 weeks.
That means there's only 2 more full weeks of running, and there's 3 more practice sessions until the 4th day, which is the actual 5K.
So I'm thinking this is a terrible idea. Thankfully, it could be a great content idea. So here we are. You can't just go from week 2 all the way to week 6 to then go back to week 4 and all these things. What you have to do is you have to click into each week and just put check marks on them to go into the further weeks of the training. And that's exactly what I did. I jumped all the way into, I believe it was week 6, and we jumped all the way to it, and I started my run for that week on week 6, when I actually should have been on week 3. And I got right into it. We went right into the run. Honestly, the run beat me apart. Just even the training regime of you run a mile, and then you walk for like a quarter mile. Then you run a mile, then you do a quarter mile. Of course, if my body was prepped into it, I probably would have been properly ready for this run, but I wasn't because I was an idiot. And just before we get into the actual race day, I actually have 5 tips for you guys for if you wanted to get started with running and learning how to run and just getting started with any recommendations that I've been doing. Rule number 1 is learn how to run properly. Bro, you can run wrong. Honestly, zoom in. You can run wrong. Everybody instinctually has their own running styles, but you have to learn, just like with everything, you have to learn how to run properly. And there's a shout out to actually this Instagram runner. He was talking about how to run properly.
Okay, here's how to start. Jog on the spot, then just lean forward. So you're not reaching forward, you're just doing this. So ideally your feet need to be landing beneath the torso. So you're not reaching forward, not overstriding. You're leaning forward and your feet are kind of catching you and stopping you from falling over.
The reason why I'm bringing this up is because if you don't know how to run properly, like I didn't for those kind of week and a half into running, my 3rd or 4th time running, it was because I was getting a lot of lower back pain. But learning how to run properly can help alleviate all of your muscles in your legs and your back to overwork and to cause strain with them. That's the reason why you should learn how to run properly, so you are then efficient to running. Tip number 2 is get the right gear. Try to invest in some decent running shoes. I'm not saying you have to go out and get Hoka's or all the like high-tech fancy shoes. I had these old running shoes back during COVID. Here, I'll show you. These are my running shoes. They are old. They are beat up. They've got holes in them. They've been rained on. There's a lot of wear and tear on them. Tip number 3 is to stretch. Oh my God. Stretch, stretch, stretch. Stretch your legs, stretch your back, stretch your abs, stretch your calves, stretch your ankles, stretch your shoulders. There's so many things that happen in running that we just don't even realize other than just your legs moving. Stretch everything. Stretch it just before you go on your run, because the worst thing that can happen is you start your run and you're already pulling up like it's hurting. And then you have to get through the rest of your run and power through. And it's not a fun thing to do. Tip number 4 is find a running program that is right for you. As I was talking about before, I was using the Runna program. It's a very simple, very easy to follow running plan. It was very easy for me. There's also Nike Run Club. You can just look up a 0 to 5K type of running plan, and it'll probably have all these built-in variations and stuff like that. So go with whatever you're comfortable with. But last but not least, tip number 5 is do a warm-up and a cool down. Let me explain this.
So the reason we're doing this warm-up is to gradually elevate our heart rate just from where it's resting heart rate. Could be between 50 to 100 beats per minute. And we're just elevating it ever so slightly to go from that 50 to say 100, just to get us going before we start running, where it's going from 100 to, let's say, almost 200 beats per minute. But after this run, what we want to do is decrease our heart rate as gradually as possible. The reason being, if we dead stop from 175 beats per minute to then 50 beats per minute and just dead stop running, what can also drop is our blood pressure. And if your blood pressure drops too quickly, you could be prone to passing out. So please take this advice seriously and walk 5 minutes before you are going on your runs, and then please go for 5 minutes of a walk after you are done with your runs, at least. But let's get back to the story after I had ran my first time in week 7.
I do this run, then I was supposed to do my pushing the limit type of run to even go even further than what I just currently did. We might have gone on a mini vacation. That run didn't happen. So instead of only running 3 more times before the race, I had ran once to prep myself, and I already hated that.
I also did do that last run 3 days before the race, and I was not feeling confident whatsoever.
And then we got into the actual week of the race. It's about, let's say, 3 days before race day. They had actually sent out an email saying, we are going to be starting the race an hour earlier. It was set to be at 9 a.m. on the 22nd. It was then going to be 8 a.m. because it was going to be almost 100 degrees. Yeah. So not only was I going to be running on short notice, but I was going to be doing it in terrible weather conditions. That's how crazy Chicago is. You think that the gunshots are terrible? It's the weather. So I wake up 5, 6 in the morning, and then I drive all the way down there. I show up there right at 7 o'clock. They said show up an hour early before the race. Pretty much sat in my car and chilled for 30, 45 minutes until you had to get over to the race. My goal for the time, of course, was under 30 minutes. And then we turned up the music, we put both our headphones in, and the race started at 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock on the dot, race starts. And I was kind of in the middle of the pack. I wasn't at the front, absolutely not. So we get through mile 1, and honestly, I was feeling pretty decent. Of course, I say on there that I'm tired as hell or I'm tired as shit, whatever.
I'm out there. 2 more to go. I'm tired as shit.
I was pretty tired in my chest aspect, but my legs and my lower back were just fine. And one other extra little cherry on top tip that I'll give you while you're in a run: find somebody to use as your motivation. Oh, there was this one guy. He had headphones on. Honestly, he was running pretty much at the same pace that I was running. We were both kind of doing this, but he was a little bit ahead of me. And I was like, perfect. That'll be my guy to keep up with. So we get to mile 1. life is good. I'm following this guy. We're still going up and down into parking lots and into the dead of heat. And it was like about the 1.5 mile marker where they gave you some water. And I grabbed one water station because I'm thinking everybody's saying if there's a water station and it's really hot, you should be getting some water. So I get some water. I don't stop running, but I like dump the water into my face, hoping to get it into my mouth, and immediately start coughing. And I'm like, what the f am I doing? Eventually we start getting to mile 2.5, and I'm starting to get side by side to this guy, and I'm like, okay, now is the point where I can kick it into gear. And once we hit that 2.5 mile mark, he was already died down, and now I was the leader. And I'm like, perfect, because I'm not stopping. So I found a new set of motivation, and it was this kind of like family group of guys. I was following them. That was my motivation next. It was like, all right, this is it. Now, it's right around like 2.5 to 2.75, almost to like just before the 3, is you're running down 35th Street through like an overpass of where the stadium is. Super cool. It's a super cool, like when you're running on it, it's super cool because you have the stadium to your right. You've got the overpass from the parking lot there. Running on it was really cool. And then it was right around 2.7 where I'm like, God, I just want to stop. Like, I'm tired. Like, leave me alone. This life sucks type of mentality. So I had to kick it up into gear. And that was, I was just saying to myself, just don't stop. If you need to slow down, just don't stop. If you stop now, you're going to hate it. You're going to regret that you had stopped. And literally, right around the corner, we start veering around the corner. There's the mile 3 marker. And I'm like, thank the Lord. So I get to the mile 3 marker, videotape it really quickly. And right at that, you turn right pretty much into the concourse center field area. You turn left once you get into whatever the sand is in between the wall and the grass. You get to that area and then you turn left. We cross the line and the time on the thing, 32:30. I'm like, I could have sworn like I had never done a 32. Like, what the hell? Like, it's super hot. I felt like I was doing a good pace. Like, I was like, but regardless, I got it done. I'm on the field. Like, I'm on the field at US Cellular Field. Like, this is awesome. It was very cool. I got myself a water, and then we go into our lines for our medals. You go to get your picture taken, and immediately didn't even sit down, wait for my drink or anything. I literally walk out the stadium, go to my car, and I drove home. And that was all I did for the rest of the day. So I'm sitting at home, and I get an email, and it's for the finisher's certificate, and it's for the pictures that were taken by the camera people and whatever. So I go into it, and I'm like, okay, cool. Like, let's just go and see what the pictures look like. Like that one on by the gate, that should be cool. But then I see my time, and it says
28:49.
Allow me to explain. When the race started at 8 o'clock, they split us into 4 or 5 different groups. I was in group B. So that means once group A went through, there was a 4-minute head start that they had given that team, which means it was 4 minutes ahead for the overall time of the race. So not only did I complete my first 5K without stopping, not only did I finish it with only doing 1 month worth of training, but I had done my goal of getting it under 30 minutes with terrible conditions as well. So seeing that, I was a very happy man. Now, do I know that running a 5K in under 30 minutes is not the greatest human achievement of all time? Yes. Do I know there are way better feats that people have done and are consistently doing every day? Do people run 5Ks every day? Yeah. They run even more than I do every single day. I know that, but that wasn't the reason why I had gotten started with it. Do you remember the first goal that I had said in this video? It was finding a plan, stick to it, and finish it. Get started, stick with it, and finish. Sure, albeit it was ahead of schedule because of the race day shenanigans recommendations, but did I finish all of these goals in that amount of time? Yes. Was I thoroughly happy that I had done this for the first time in my life? Yes. Do I now know that I can internally motivate myself and push myself to try and continue to do these types of things and get out of my comfort zone? Yes. These are all things that I'd kind of just learn. Even if you hate it, even if you suck at it, and even if you are going to look like an idiot when you start out, even if it's as dumb as not knowing how to run properly, you can learn. You can learn along the way. So I appreciate you guys. Subscribe if you like this, and see ya.